I do cardio to get abs like this.
There you go.
Is it going?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, Bryce here again at Calgary Barbell, the Strength Edge. I'm going to talk a little bit today about GPP. GPP stands for General Physical Preparedness. Essentially, it's all the crap you don't do in the rest of your training. Some of my lifters will do it towards the end of each training day. For myself, I have it on a separate day where I come in and that's all I do. Personally, I quite enjoy my GPP because it's a great restorative day. It's a great way to break up the week and break up really intense training. So what is GPP to start off with? Like I said, it's everything that you don't do throughout the rest of your week of training. For me, that's extra upper back work, extra core work, specific movements and patterning to help me rehab my hips and my core and the way that the two sort of connect to make sure that my SI is stable for when I'm squatting and deadlifting and I don't re-injure my hip. The other thing that I like to do on GPP day, if I'm feeling especially spicy, is a little bit of bodybuilding, train my arms a little bit, especially if I'm in a caloric surplus. That helps me hopefully put mass on the right spots where I feel that I'm lacking. Why do GPP? Generally, because you're not doing the stuff elsewhere. It's important in terms of rehab, in terms of prehab or injury prevention, and it can help you, like it helped me, come back from an injury a little faster. If you stay on top of these movements and you stay on top of core work and anti-rotational work, etc., a lot of other stuff we don't do as powerlifters. Generally, everything we do as powerlifters is in this plane of movement. We don't do a whole lot of rotational work. A lot of times we end up with slight imbalances between right leg, right shoulder, etc. And what that can do over time is it can force, or rather put us into compensating movement patterns where we end up favoring one side, which puts a little bit of twisting force through the spine, which is generally really not a good thing. So that's another thing GPP is really good for, is evening out imbalances between right and left side, making sure we're able to stay symmetrical when we get under heavy load, when we're doing a heavy squat, heavy deadlift, etc. So I'm going to touch briefly on what I do for GPP. The first thing I do in GPP is get a little bit warm. I like to spend a lot of time rolling out my hips and my low back, my upper back, generally my pecs and my shoulders. Just do a little bit of stuff to get everything moving around. This right here is magic, and it is an essential piece of the puzzle. It's just two softballs taken together, but it will take good care of you. The next thing I'll do in my GPP is start with some activation drills and some core work. So I start off my core work with some anti-rotational work. The next thing I do is some glute activation and some glute drills, and then I'll do some side planks. And that's pretty much my core section of the day. So the first movement here is called the dead bug. And the importance of this is to bias the abs over the hip flexors as you extend your hip. So if you watch my low back, I want to try and keep it glued to the ground as my hip extends. If you see any tilting in the hips, any going into extension in the low back, you're sort of defeating the purpose of the exercise. So try to keep your abs drawn in hard and push your low back against the mat or the floor, whatever you're on. So what I'll do is I'll superset those with a very similar but somewhat opposing action, and that's going to be the bird dog plank. So I'm going to go into a full front plank and then do bird dogs from there. Next, what I'll do is I'll do some upper back work. So for me, that's a bench pull down, wide grip seated rows. Sometimes I'll switch that up, but those are my two go-tos. So what I like to do with my extra back work in the week is make it bench specific. I got this great movement called the bench pull down, again from my buddy Jake at RTS. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna set up essentially in your bench arch. And as you pull down, you're gonna try and arch your upper back, your thoracic spine as much as you can. Pull your chest up to the bar. Find a nice symmetrical low lat contraction. It's gonna be very much mid-back based. The other exercise I'm supersetting with is a wide grip seated row. And again, I'm trying to mimic the bench in grip width, bar path, and roughly where it touches my chest. The last thing I like to do on my GPP day is get a little bit of a pump. 1, because I'm vain. 2, because I don't want to have to get the sleeves taken in when I get my bench shirt. So the last thing I'll do on my GPP is 15 minutes cardiovascular exercise. So for me, that's walking on a treadmill for 15 minutes, moderate pace, moderate incline, just enough to get my heart rate going. There's been some studies to show that increased cardiovascular capacity will allow you to recover from injury better. And essentially, anytime you're training yourself, that's like a very small acute bout of injury. So it would logically follow that if you're going to recover from injury faster, you'll recover from training faster with increased cardiovascular capacity. So a little bit of maintenance there, I believe, can help restore you throughout the week and help you increase your threshold for recovering from training. So today is Wednesday. I'm in the middle of my training week. I feel like a sack of smashed bee holes.